Taking off the mask. Are you still wearing a mask? Do you still have a certain identity, a certain idea, present a certain way to the world? Today we're going to talk about that and show how you can see if you have a mask, and if so, how can you take it off? Here we go. Namaste and welcome everyone. This is day number 165 of 365, A Life of Bliss 365. One quote every day from the book A Life of Bliss, the living transmission. Channel through this one from our dear non-physical friends and teachers, AnandA, here to assist us, humanity, in remembering who we are and why we are here. And today we're taking off the mask. Taking off your mask. And so we're going to hear from AnandA in the quote in a moment. We just want to ask the question just when we begin here. Do you believe that you still wear a mask, a persona, a identity? Is there certain ways that you act when you're in certain places? Is there certain personas or characters that you put on when you're with certain people in certain places? And again, we talked about this before, there's certain ways of being that are just conducive to harmony. It's not really about like natural courtesy and living in a community in a way, in certain ways of being and talking and dressings are, that would just work. We're talking about more the psychological identities and the masks that we wear and the covers that we put on and all of these things that shield us. So we're live streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, and Telegram. We're posting to other platforms as well. If you're watching live, please put in the comments. Let us know where you're joining from. If you're watching on replay, put in the comments. I'm a time traveler. And we'll get into the quote for day number 165. So we're still on chapter 15, smiles and laughter. We invite you to smile the day away. Smile even when you do not feel that you wish to. This is not something that you do in insincerity. This is something that you are in reality. What is insincere and what is not true is your gloom, your doom, your fear, your delusion, your mask. For the falsity shall fall away as the joy arises. The joy of your being and a smile is like the welcome dawn on a nightmare of fear, a welcome dawn on the nightmare of delusion, a welcome dawn on that which has pulled you beyond, pulled you to and fro, seemed to squeeze you and push you, limit you. Smile, smile, smile. And so today's contemplation from our dear non-physical friends and teachers is to see this mask that we wear, this covering, this meatsuit and all its different coverings and faces and ideas and ways in which it presents itself to the world, way it interacts. And it's showing that these masks are covering up our joy. And a smile is what makes it through. And this is what was so challenging through the few years when there was literal face coverings on people's faces. You couldn't see smiles. The smile, so the eyes are the windows to the soul, and the smile is the way that you experience and feel that in a tangible way. If you didn't see the video a few days ago, it was talking about like a smile can literally be felt, a smile can be heard, a smile can be sensed. It's a tangible energy. It's not just a facial expression with emotion. It's tangible energy that can be felt, that can be experienced, that can be expressed. And so the smile is the way that we break through and allow the soul to come through. And when we have lots of masks physical in this case, but also metaphysical and emotional and all sorts of mental conceptions of who we are, put a mask over our face, put a mask, the egoic sense that's over the self. And when we can't see that smile, it's so much more challenging to connect with the soul of the being. Even though we can see the eyes, the smile is what connects it. You see, it connects in the face. And so we're asking the question, do you have a mask? Maybe you're watching this, you probably wouldn't have got this far if you don't think that you wear a certain mask. But I invite you just to search through your experience and see, do you change behavior? Do you have a certain face with your family and a certain face at work? Do you have a certain way of being when you're in a spiritual company and you're a certain way of being with those you grew up with and partied with in your teenage years? Have you you have a work face and you have a play face? You have a sexy face and you have a sad face? And we're not talking about genuine emotions that rise and fall here. We're talking about psychological identities that are placed on. Or another good one is do you know you're with certain people and you can be in a certain way of being, a mood, and then let's say you're mad, sad, depressed, whatever it happens to be, then you change, you leave that environment where that is the general way of being, and then you're with someone else and instantaneously you shift into another way of being. So there's two ways of looking at that, is like what we talked about yesterday, miserable company. Nothing loves company like misery. When we're in a vibration where people are matching that vibration of misery, of lower vibration, then that perpetuates itself. And then we move into a higher vibration or a more expansive place, we can match that. But this is more like a psychological identity that's just thrown on. The people pleaser, or the wanting to fit in, the chameleon, as we shared in a few videos. It's like the chameleon, this one, the wanting to fit in, so I'll act and look this sort of way, dress this way, talk this way, be in these sorts of places. And these are like psychological identities of masks that we place upon ourselves to try and fit in, to try and get ahead, maybe in work or whatever, or in community. And there's certain ways in which we will only show ourselves. You'll only be the best photographs on social media. You'll never go outside the house unless your physical body is looking well, or the opposite. Could be the opposite of these. And so it's just a little question, just a little experiment, little thought experiment, heart experiment, to see, do you feel that you do have certain masks? And again, this is not talking about practical things and you just like just do wild, weird things in public. There's nothing wrong with anything, but there's just certain ways of being that lead to more harmonious ways of being as a human. We're really talking about psychological identities that are built up through traumas, and they're built up through rewards for being certain ways. That's very apt over the last few years. Acting in a certain way, you get a certain acceptance, you get a certain award, you get certain reward. Something comes to you if you are that certain way, and it's not who you are at your core, but you put on that mask because of the reward, or because of the something that you receive. So some way you feel like the egoic sense of self benefits from it in some way. So we're going to ask this question: do you feel, put in the comments, do you feel you have masks? Do you wear certain masks? Do you put on these masks? Again, this more the psychological identity that can just change moment to moment, and it changes with people. It changes like the weather. And so if we do, we got this contemplation, what do we do about it? So AnandA's given us the very most simplest ways in which we can get through this. If we're in wow, my whole screen just transformed. I'm getting so many visual glitches these days. I'm doing videos in the morning, sunset session or sunrise sessions, and there's bright lights appearing in the sky and beautiful bird formations is appearing, but like the whole screen just transformed there. So firstly, if you can see that there is masks, that you wear masks, you don certain identities for certain circumstances. Again, you see that there's something they're done for other people, let's say, or they're done for the environment, they're done for the circumstances you find yourself in, to try and fit in, to try and be okay, to not stand out, whatever that happens to be, like the psychological thing. What can we do about that? So AnandA shares with us. The smile breaks through the mask. No matter what mask we are wearing, unless you're just playing the clown, but a fake smile is known. Because it's felt, a fake smile. So you're the over joyous, the over smiley one, someone who overcompensates their happiness, their people pleaser, and they're smiling all the time, but you can see through that. A true smile, it comes through, it's felt, it's known, it's effortless, it just appears. And so a smile breaks through these psychological masks. So I love doing this one. When you're out in certain places, you might be in certain places and people just smile all the time, but you might go to certain places where people never smile. And I love bringing a smile there. There's a little part of it is a little bit egoic. I have to be really honest. There's a little egoic part of it, but mostly I'm going to be very clear. There is a little part I'm just going to smile and look at all these miserable people. I'm just going to smile at them. That's not the genuine one, but mostly it's just to bring joy. And most, like in AnandA's ways here, it's actually to break through my own mask. So someone, you're walking the street and you see someone and you choose to smile and they don't smile back. This happened to me recently. You get that feeling. What happens inside you smile at someone and someone just looks or don't look at you at all. The smile breaks through, but you're not doing it for the other. You're not doing it for the environment. You're doing it because it's bringing the joy of your being, into expression. So how do we take off our mask? The smile. And the truth is told through the eyes and through the smile. So bring the smiles where there are none. And don't worry if you don't get them back. Bring the joy where there seems to be none. Bring the joy where it's not seen as a joyful place. There's certain places. I remember, oh my God, it seems like I'm going on a lot about these, but there's certain, I call Roman real estate cult that I grew up in, where you would visit a certain place on a sacred site where they put a building over the top of it to harness its energy every Sunday. There was a certain way of acting that you had to be. You had to be kind of solemn, and you had to be quiet, and that was just the way it was. Everyone is miserable. Really? That's not true. I don't think everybody's miserable. I was miserable. But a lot of people had faces on them like a wet week. And it was kind of the way you were. You don't come in like, what I really love is some of you see those, in America, some of these kind of gospel churches where they're really singing and joyful, and like the Roman real estate cult in Ireland was the very opposite of that. That would be amazing, I would say. I've never been to something like that. The closest thing is like bhajans or kirtan or something like that, where it's joyful expression of joy of the divine. But when there's that certain thing, so you can bring a smile, bring a real smile into places where there's none. Bring real joy where there is somberness, let's say. Again, we're not trying to make happen. It's not an effort. It's just that it's coming from the joy of your being. The smile is a natural smile. Again, the forced smile, or the little rebellious one that I talked about, is like, I'm going to smile because I'm just going to put my smile on these these miserable ones. That's not the way. Some days the little rebel has to come out, Yeah, that doesn't work. Because it's felt, it's known. A fake smile is a fake smile. It doesn't matter how good you're at it. The fakeness is not there. The smile, it must be a genuine smile. It's coming from the joy of your being. It's coming from who you really are. And so this is how we take off these psychological masks. We must first, number one, see that we have them. We must admit that we have them. You do or you don't. If you're still watching this and you don't, why are you still watching? It's doesn't make much sense. So if you're watching this far, I would assume that you see that you have certain psychological masks, and there are plenty that you have that this one hasn't talked about. And then see that you have them. So then how do we deal with that? Again, these are ones that don't serve us, that don't work. They're just habitual, or they're just because that's the way it was done. It's what our parents did, or it's what the society does, it's just the done thing. When we see it doesn't serve, we smile through them. And so we identify them, we know that it's there, and we smile through them, and we bring our joy and bring the lightness and bring the laughter and bring the fullness of our being to every moment as much as possible, as much as we remember. This one forgets all of the time. This one can go off this video and do the complete opposite, and he's totally okay with that sometimes. Always a messenger, not always the message, but always, as my beautiful friend Randy says, perfection moving towards completion. This is what is appearing here. So identify that you have them, if you have, and smile through them and bring. This is how we take them off. This is how we dissolve them, and it will take practice. Because if you've been a certain way with your family your whole life, you put on the family mask. That's the toughest one for most people. You know, you've practiced that psychological mask. You've put that on thousands and thousands of times, multiple tens of thousands of times. Who knows? Whatever way it works. So it'll take practice. It takes continuous smiling through challenging circumstances, noticing the tendency to close our heart, because the mask, you know, we think of the mask here, but generally what we're doing, we're closing down our heart. So we mask our heart. So we're with certain people who trigger us. When we know we're closing down before we even meet them. We're running through past scenarios, and we're on the defensive already. Subconsciously, a lot of the time, we don't even know we're doing it. We'll act a certain way. And so, again, this is about awareness, bringing awareness to triggers, bringing awareness to psychological masks that we wear, where we close down, where we defend, or where we're so over the top, out the way in another compensating way, and see where we can bring awareness to it, then smile through it, and then most importantly is just have awareness of where we do it before we even get there, or as soon as we realize we're in it, bring an awareness to it, smiling, seeing that there's the scared little boy, the scared little girl that needs to protect, that needs to close, needs to put on the mask, because the mask for the little child, for the inner child, can be like a suit of armor that's been their protection, that's been their coping mechanism. So we have to be, very gentle with this and compassionate with this, and see, this is a coping mechanism. These psychological masks are created as a way of interacting with the world, as a way that, like an inner child, a child was, it was how they felt safe in certain circumstances, how they, in some cases, they got love or experienced acceptance. They had to be a certain way. So that mask is comfortable in a way, and it feels there's a certain amount of safety in it. But no amount of safety is worth closing our heart and not being who we truly are, because it is a false safety. It's a false safety that the egoic self masks its own unreality. It masks as safety. It masks for your own good. And the governed minds do the same thing. They do things for your own good. Always be careful for what's been done for your own good. The egoic mask wants to put this on because it's for your own good. It's worked in the past. And again, it's not about judgment. It's not about saying it's wrong. It's just about saying, is it serving and is it working now? And if it is not, smile your way through it. Take it off as soon as you recognize it, and get used to being yourself with everyone, everywhere, all of the time. Big challenge for this one. Continuous perfection, moving towards completion. And this is the contemplation for day 165. And as always, we're invited to drop into sacred silence, where we let go of this contemplation, we let go of any ideas, we let go of any intention, where we allow what is to be what is, as what is. So thank you as always for joining this daily journey, A Life of Bliss, the living transmission, as we are remembering little by little, step by step, moment by moment, timelessly, spacelessly, completely remembering who we are and why we are here. So we love stream every day on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Telegram. All the quotes coming from the book, A Life of Bliss, the living transmission. And we will continue this journey with you. If you are receiving value and if you're enjoying these transmissions, please invite you to share them with friends, share them on the social media. And while you're on the platform now, please hit the like button and subscribe below. And please let us know any questions, any queries, any challenges, anything that you would like us to cover. Please put it in the comments below. We'll be happy to share and shine together. And until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are